Ever wondered why the world couldn't avoid a second global conflict so soon after the first? What led to World War II? Welcome, history enthusiasts, to a captivating exploration of the events that transpired in the 1930s, leading up to the Second World War. Let's rewind to the 1930s, a decade marked by economic turmoil and political instability. The world was attempting to recover from the shock of the Great Depression, an economic downturn that left millions jobless and nations bankrupt. This was a time of uncertainty, a time when people were desperate for change, a time ripe for manipulation by charismatic leaders promising prosperity and power. Enter Adolf Hitler, the man who would steer Germany and the world into a catastrophic conflict. Hitler's rise to power in 1933 was not a mere coincidence, but a calculated move fueled by the desperation and discontent of the German population. Hitler exploited the bitterness harbored by Germans due to the Treaty of Versailles, which ended World War I and left Germany in a state of economic and social disarray. Hitler's charismatic speeches and promises of a stronger Germany resonated with the populace. With the Nazi Party at the helm, Germany began to rebuild, violating the terms of the Treaty of Versailles. Military expansion, rearmament, and territorial claims became the norm, all under the guise of national pride and restoration. Meanwhile, across the globe, other nations were grappling with their own issues. The United States, still recovering from the Great Depression, was focused on domestic affairs, while Britain and France, war-weary from the First World War, were reluctant to intervene in the escalating situation in Europe. As we delve deeper, we'll see how these conditions set the stage for the global conflict that was to come. The world was a chessboard, and the pieces were moving towards a confrontation that would redefine borders, ideologies, and the course of human history. The stage was set, the actors were in place, and the curtain was about to rise on World War II. Understanding the causes of World War II isn't simple. It involves dissecting a complex web of factors and events. The Treaty of Versailles, signed to end World War I, was a key trigger. It left Germany with significant economic and territorial losses, sowing seeds of resentment that Adolf Hitler would later exploit. Meanwhile, Italy under Benito Mussolini and Japan under Emperor Hirohito embraced fascism, a political ideology that promotes dictatorial power and aggressive nationalism. This rise of fascist regimes, coupled with Hitler's aggressive territorial expansion, escalated tensions globally. Hitler's violation of the Treaty of Versailles by remilitarizing the Rhineland, annexing Austria, and invading Czechoslovakia were clear indicators of brewing conflict. Meanwhile, in the Far East, Japan's invasion of China further destabilized the international order. These factors converged to ignite a conflict of unprecedented scale involving nations from every corner of the globe. The year 1939 marks the official start of the war, with Germany's invasion of Poland. A strategy that would come to define this conflict was the Blitzkrieg, or lightning war. This military tactic saw Germany launching rapid, overwhelming attacks, aiming to catch their opponents off guard and disrupt their lines of communication. By focusing their resources on a narrow front, the Germans were able to concentrate their firepower and break through enemy lines with speed and force. This was followed by fast-moving infantry and artillery to consolidate the gains. This revolutionary strategy enabled Germany to conquer much of Europe in a remarkably short period, from Poland and France to the Low Countries and beyond. The Blitzkrieg was not just a military tactic, it was a psychological one too, creating shock and disarray among the enemy. This tactic of lightning war changed the face of warfare and marked the beginning of a dark era. While Europe was under siege, events were unfolding in the Pacific that would draw the United States into the war. Japan, under the leadership of Emperor Hirohito, was on an expansionist spree. The land of the rising sun had set its sights on Southeast Asia and the Pacific Islands, with a particular interest in the rich resources these regions had to offer. But to achieve this, Japan had to neutralize potential threats. One such threat was the United States Pacific Fleet, anchored at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. On the morning of December 7, 1941, Japanese planes swooped down on the harbor, wreaking havoc. The surprise attack resulted in substantial losses, galvanizing the United States to declare war on Japan the very next day. The attack on Pearl Harbor was a turning point. uniting nations against the Axis powers. Amidst the chaos of war, a horrific genocide was taking place. The Holocaust, orchestrated by Nazi Germany under Adolf Hitler's regime, was a systematic, state-sponsored annihilation of 6 million Jews by the Nazi regime and its collaborators. This was not a spontaneous eruption of violence, but a meticulously planned and executed operation of mass murder. Jews were singled out, demonized, and dehumanized. They were herded into ghettos and then transported to concentration and extermination camps. Men, women, and children faced unspeakable horrors, subjected to forced labor, cruel experiments, and mass executions. The Holocaust was not just an assault on the Jewish community, but an attack on humanity itself. It challenged our notions of civilization and morality. The world stood in stunned silence as the true extent of the Nazi atrocities came to light. The Holocaust serves as a stark reminder of the depths to which humanity can sink in times of conflict. 1944 brought with it a glimmer of hope. The tide was about to turn. As the clock struck midnight on June 6, 1944, the largest amphibious assault in history was about to unfold. Codenamed Operation Overlord, this daring mission aimed to break the German stranglehold over Western Europe. The Allies had chosen Normandy, France as their landing site, and the beaches of this region were about to witness an event that would change the course of the war. The operation was a spectacle of courage and coordination. Thousands of ships, aircraft, and landing craft, along with hundreds of thousands of soldiers from various Allied nations, participated in this massive operation. The objective? To establish a strong foothold in Western Europe and push back the formidable German forces. Under the cloak of darkness and amidst rough seas, the first wave of soldiers hit the beaches of Normandy. Despite the heavy German resistance, the Allies managed to secure a beachhead. This marked the beginning of a grueling and bloody battle that would last for weeks. The D-Day invasion was not just about the storming of the beaches, it was also about the subsequent battles that took place across Normandy. Town by town, the Allies fought, liberating the French from years of German occupation. This marked the start of the Western Allies' march towards Berlin. But D-Day was not a standalone event. It was part of a larger strategic plan designed to squeeze the German forces on both the eastern and western fronts. As the Allies advanced from the west, the Soviet forces were making significant gains in the east. The pincers were closing in on Germany. The successful D-Day landings and the subsequent liberation of Western Europe marked a significant step towards victory for the Allies. The tide had indeed turned, and the end of the war was now in sight. The darkest hour was over and dawn was breaking. The world was on the cusp of a new era, an era of peace that was hard-won by the bravery and sacrifice of those who fought in the deadliest conflict in human history. As the war neared its end, the world witnessed a new horror, the destructive power of atomic weapons. In a desperate bid to bring the war to a close, the United States made the fateful decision to drop 2 atomic bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August of 1945. The devastation was unparalleled, instantly wiping out entire cities and causing unimaginable loss of life. The bomb's shockwaves were felt around the world, changing warfare and the geopolitical landscape forever. In the face of such destruction, Japan announced its surrender only a few days later, officially marking the end of World War II. Yet the scars of those bombings are still visible today, serving as a grim reminder of the destructive power humanity is capable of. The atomic bombings brought an end to World War II, but their legacy lingers on. Our journey through World War II has been a stark reminder of the resilience of the human spirit and the sacrifices made. We've revisited the tumultuous 1930s, the rise of fascist regimes, and the aggressive territorial ambitions that ignited the flames of war. We've seen how key events such as the Blitzkrieg and the attack on Pearl Harbor set the stage for a conflict that spanned the globe. We've faced the dark reality of the Holocaust and the unimaginable loss it brought. And we've celebrated victories like D-Day that marked turning points in the war. As we reflect on the end of the war, we remember the devastating power of the atomic bombs and the profound impact they had. This exploration underscores the importance of learning from history to foster understanding and prevent repetition of such catastrophic events. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of a pivotal era that shaped the world we live in today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more historical content. Until next time, stay curious